Welcome to the Fiercely Visible CEO podcast. I'm your host, Steph Wharton. Join me as we dive into how to become a widely in-demand CEO that prioritizes balance between life and business, isn't afraid of making the scary decisions that get you results you actually care about, and unapologetically breaks the rules to build the business and life of your dreams. Have you noticed that trend where on, let's say, Instagram, people will post content where it says, these are the key areas that you need to focus on going forward? Or perhaps they say something like, these are the best strategies as you walk into 2022. This is how you're going to see success. Or alternatively, this is where the industry is going in the future. So it's all essentially people trying to forecast, predict what the industry is going to look like, what is going to allow you to see even greater success as you continue to work on your business and try to reach higher goals. Now, one of the things that I've been seeing a lot of people talk about, probably within the last, I want to say 4 months, there's been an uptick in the amount of people in the online space. Mostly, I want to say coaches, some service providers, and then within the coaching world, specifically marketing coaches. A lot of people have been talking about how visibility is that next big strategy / focus that you should put a lot of energy in order to scale your business further. I've got a lot to say about that. Let's just start with that. First of all, yes, 100%. Visibility is incredible. I know technically I'm biased because that's my zone of genius. So that is something that I've experienced a lot of success through and is one of the things that I coach my clients on a lot, right? Like I love hosting workshops. I love supporting one-on-one clients through visibility and just allowing them to find easier ways to get in front of the right audiences without having to bust their ass off, right? So sure, visibility, freaking brilliant. However, what I want to clarify is a couple things. First, visibility isn't new. So if you're feeling, whether because people are saying that, hey, visibility, everything's shifting into that in the new year, or let's say people are saying that it's shifting into something else, and that something else is something that you don't currently do inside of your business, don't let that scare you. Because a lot of these strategies that people are saying, hey, this is the new way that you should be running your business, and if you're not doing this and you're doing things wrong, first of all, that's not accurate. Because a lot of the times these strategies have already existed for years and years, and they've been things that a lot of other entrepreneurs and even like corporations have been focusing on. It's just that, as with everything, depending on who you're connected with in the online space and what kind of circle / bubble you run with, you're going to be exposed to different things. So there are certain topics that, for, of course, good reason, because they are very powerful strategies, they're going to go through cycles where people are going to feel more aligned to them, or there's going to be more conversations being had around those strategies, which is going to make it feel like it's this new up and coming way to bring in more success. But if you look back, if you start to pay attention, you'll realize, I know these strategies have been around for a really long freaking time. It's just finally people are starting to talk about it. The other thing that I want to mention is that you also have to pay attention to who is saying those things in the online space. So if you're seeing some entrepreneur saying that this is the next best strategy and this is how you're going to achieve XYZ, try and pay attention to who their target audience is, because that's going to tell you a lot about whether what they're saying applies to you or not. Because you don't have to listen to every single guru and genius in the online space, regardless of either if they're making, let's say, 6 figures, multi-6 figures, even 7 figures. Just because people are successful and just because people are good at what they do doesn't mean that their messaging has to resonate with you. And it doesn't mean that what they're saying that is going to bring about success will actually work for you. What they're doing is they understand their target audience so clearly that they know that based on their unique set of circumstances, where they're at in their business, how they want to grow, what they're struggling with, that XYZ, that super sexy new strategy that they're raving on about, is the perfect next step and solution for their target audience. So if you are not a representation of that target audience that they're speaking to, then that next best strategy doesn't have to be something that scares you, doesn't have to be something that worries you into thinking, oh no, I'm doing the wrong things. I need to completely rip my business apart and start doing what they're saying because clearly it's the only way or the best way to make more money. No, right? Instead, you got to analyze and figure out, what are you struggling with? What do you want your business and your life to look like? And do a little bit of a self audit in order to really figure out where you're at in your business and where you want to go, and figure out, okay, what is the solution going to be? Is it going to be visibility? Is it going to be podcasting? Is it going to be outsourcing or whatever other strategy? Is it going to be let's say attraction marketing, ads? Like, there's so many strategies out there, right? And a lot of them are super successful. So it's not about finding the most successful strategy. It's about finding the right strategy for you. Now, going to bring it back to the beginning a little bit. Since a lot of people are talking about visibility and how it's just such a hot topic right now, I want to break it down a little bit, so you can get a better sense of what visibility means, what I know to be true about visibility, and how it can be so successful. So the first thing I want to do is almost like dispel a bit of a myth, because I know a lot of people are scared about visibility. And you might be one of those people, because visibility, in a more literal sense, it's about visibility, it's about being seen, right? But the problem with that quote unquote definition that I just kind of made up about being seen is that a lot of people tend to associate certain understandings around being seen, around showing up. And when people think of visibility, they tend to associate that with the fact that they have to show up every day and they have to constantly be online, creating new content, showing up and creating more video content, showing their face, talking, going live, right? And it starts to build up all this pressure to do so many freaking things in order to always be seen and always be top of mind. But that is just one aspect of visibility. That is the simple aspect. Because think about it. When you show up, when you are creating content on Instagram, you're primarily creating content for your existing followers, right? So in that sense, yes, you're being seen, but you're being seen by your existing community, by people that you already have connections with, by people that you're already probably friends with. So what you're really doing is you're creating deeper relationships. So you're not gaining visibility, you're just warming them up. You're nurturing those existing relationships. But visibility, at the very literal core of it, it's being seen, it's gaining visibility. So for that to happen, it's not about just showing up on social media, it's about showing up on other spaces in order to gain access to new audiences. So instead of focusing and staying so narrow within the Instagram bubble, when we look at visibility, there's two different areas that we can look at. So there's three total. Showing up on social media, cool. That's the simple, basic one. Then they're showing up on other platforms. So this can range, and there's probably a lot of subtopics and areas within this pocket. But let's say having different platforms. So email marketing, that's one platform, right? You have direct access to people's inbox. So that's one other way to get visible. Let's be fair though, that is still getting in front of your existing community. So let's get a little bit more creative then. Instead of email marketing, in bucket number 2, we have a different platform such as podcasting. So if you have your own podcast, you're creating content, you're showing up, you're being visible. Even if people can't see your face, they are still hearing you and they're able to learn from you and connect with you in a more meaningful way, right? So when you're showing up, you're not only showing up to your existing community, but also every new listener. But let's get a little bit, let's see if we can get more creative than that. We have podcasting, we have email marketing. What other platforms are there? Pinterest. Oh, okay. Pinterest is a really good one in the sense that you can show up and easily, like way more easily, get in front of new audiences because of the fact that Pinterest is a search engine based platform. So it's no longer social media where you're just connecting and building relationships. Instead, it's a platform where people actively search for things. And then based on the keywords that pop up, your content gets pushed in front of them. So now you're gaining a lot more visibility without putting in necessarily more work. Every piece of content that you create has a chance to be put in front of new people. On that similar note, that could be blogging. That's another way, right? On another note, if we look at podcasting and then repurposing that into blog posts and then plugging into, let's say, Pinterest, that's a super hybrid way of getting visible in 3 different ways, because people can find you on a podcast, they can find you on your blog / through Google, and they can also find you through Pinterest. So that's bucket number 2. Essentially, it's diversifying your marketing outside of social media so that you have a separate platform where you can create content and connect with new and existing people. Now, there's the third bucket, and this is probably my favorite. This is what I consider to be my signature visibility framework. So you could have listened to a previous episode on that did a better, or I don't know if better, but an explanation on what that looks like. But for the sake of this conversation, bucket number 3, in terms of visibility, it is partnering up with other people in order to take advantage of each other's audiences. So you're cross-pollinating into these new audiences that you didn't before have access to, that probably there's going to be a lot of them that don't even know who you are. But when you're collaborating in that way, you're now getting that new exposure and you're attracting them back into your existing platform. Your existing platform could be anything. It could be social media. It could be a platform under bucket number 2, like a podcast, blog, website, whatever. Or it could be your website. Yeah, flat out. Simple as that. Into that way, they get to hear all about your services. They get to subscribe to your email list or whatever it is that you're using your website for. So those are the 3 buckets of visibility. It's how I love to explain it. And hopefully, if this is something that resonates, especially if you're getting a little bit sick of how social media can be so draining and exhausting, now you have 2 other buckets, whether that's having a second platform outside of social media so you can diversify your marketing, or starting to collaborate and partner up with other people strategically in the online space in order to gain access to new audiences. Those are all 2 buckets that are filled with so many ideas and different ways to get in front of the right audiences so that you're not feeling glued and tied to your phone, always refreshing Instagram, always hoping that you have a new comment, a new DM, just somebody reaching out, inquiring about your offers. And instead, you can let go of that pressure and start focusing more on just serving the shit out of your community and building like really genuine and meaningful connections and focusing on the fact that your community and serving the shit out of them, both free and paying clients, is going to be how you scale your business further at the end of the day. So hopefully that gives you a bunch of ideas. Like I said, if you're looking for a different way to get visible, there's so many other ways. And like everybody else is saying, it is the key to scaling in 2022. I feel like that's so corny, but let's just go with it. All right. If you found any of those buckets interesting, I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me a DM. Let me know what kind of visibility strategies are you curious to dive into. I'd love to support you, whether that's through free content, paid content. I obviously have a visibility workshop coming up. I will keep you updated on the details for that, but definitely let me know, because who knows, I might be able to create some fun content for you. All right. Have a great day. That's it for this week's episode of the Fiercely Visible CEO podcast. Be sure to sign up to our email list at stephwharton.com and subscribe in your favorite podcast app so that you don't miss our next episode.